Hello, this is Bob Sager, founder of Wealth Where You Are. Thank you for taking some of your time to learn more about our company. The video presentation you're about to watch is broken down into 3 parts. The first part talks about a significant problem most people face. The second section deals with potential solutions, and the third section highlights some of the money-making opportunities our company offers. Before we dive into the presentation, I'd like to give you a brief background on myself. I spent 17 years in the financial services / financial planning community. My mission in that venture was to help people do better from a financial standpoint, mainly through education about financial products. Early on, I decided the best way to make a lot of money in the financial services field was not only to work with clients personally, but also to build up an agency where I would hire and train other associates. It really bothered me when I would see new representatives come into our company, work hard, go through all the training, and just as they were about to succeed, they would do something, or they would do a series of things that would sabotage their careers. This bothered me so much that I began to study and to find out what it is that makes people do the things that they do. It is through that study and through practical application of the principles that we're going to talk about that I found dramatically greater success and results for myself, and at that point my mission changed. My mission changed from one of educating people about financial products and how they work to educating people about how they work and what they can do to change to make success less about a physical struggle and more about a proper mindset. Until you're aware of what the root cause of the problem is, no solution will really work. So I'm going to spend some significant time talking about the problem, but only because I know that there are solutions, and I know from personal experience that they work. Again, thank you for your time, and let's dive right in. Our mission as a company is to teach people the truth about why they're not as successful as they'd like to be and put them on the fast track to positive change. The inspiration for the name of our company is a true story called Acres of Diamonds. It's the story of a man who sells his farm in order to go prospect the African continent in search of diamonds. Meanwhile, back on the farm that he sold, the person who bought it ends up discovering that there are literally acres of diamonds throughout that farm. It's a true story. The farm that he sold ended up becoming the richest diamond mine on the entire African continent. The moral of the story is that people are searching for wealth everywhere except where it is. Virtually everyone would like to make more money, but why don't they? Consider this. If we owned a Ferrari that was actually capable of going 180 miles an hour, but there were bricks stuck between the accelerator and the floorboard so that we could only push the accelerator down 10% of the way, in our mind, how fast can that Ferrari actually go? The Ferrari, of course, is a metaphor for people. So why aren't people more successful? I find there's 3 reasons. First, they don't believe they can be. Second, they don't believe they should be. And third, they lack opportunities that use their natural strengths and abilities. So how do people arrive at these beliefs? They certainly aren't born with them. People come into the world as a blank, an unrecorded disc. Over time, we become subconsciously programmed with beliefs about relationships, money, capability, success, etc. Where does all this subconscious programming come from? 2 sources. First, especially when we're young, it comes from authority figures. Parents, grandparents, teachers, sometimes older siblings, anybody that we trust. Second, it comes from deeply emotional experiences. By the way, let me make a side note. I am not saying anything disparaging about people's parents, grandparents, other influences in their life. Frankly, I think most people are good people, and I think that they do the best they can with the knowledge that they have. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about when I say deeply emotional experiences. Do you know how they train elephants for the circus? When they're very young, they put a chain around their ankle and tie them to a stake in the ground. Being a spirited creature, that elephant pulls and pulls and pulls over and over and over, trying to escape. Eventually, he figures out he can't escape, and that becomes a deeply seated emotional experience. In his mind, he's convinced he can't escape. As the elephant gets older, naturally it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and yet it's still tied to the same stake. A full-grown elephant being held in place by that little tiny stake looks ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. But because it became convinced at a very young age that it couldn't escape, it doesn't even try. Beliefs are just like that for people. They're so convinced that things are the way they are that they don't even try to escape. I'll talk to a lot of people about how they're programmed, and I get various responses. A lot of times it's people say, well, I'm not sure I believe that I'm programmed. Are you sure about that? What is the word for this picture? Now, if you speak English, the word for that picture is dog. If you speak Spanish, it's el perro. If you speak French, it's chien. Just like you're programmed from birth what your language is, you're programmed with other beliefs. The astounding thing about self-image and about our other beliefs is that there's no greater power than for us to stay consistent with that self-image and beliefs. Why? Because it defines at a core level to us who we are, what we're capable of, etc. That self-image plays a dramatic role in the results that we get. Everyone has heard probably that your actions determine your results, but the real key is what determines actions. All of our results begin with a conscious thought or conscious idea. All of those thoughts or ideas then pass through the filter of our self-image and beliefs. And so when we think a conscious thought, get a conscious idea, that conscious idea then goes through our filters of self-image and belief. If it agrees with them, it'll go right through and we'll make decisions based on that. If it's inconsistent, it will bounce off and be rejected immediately. For example, I get a thought or idea. I'd like to make $100,000 a year. I make $50,000 now. That's twice as much money. On a subconscious level, my self-image is unlikely to tell me I'm capable of making $100,000 a year. In fact, if I get that kind of a thought, it'll almost always bounce right out from there. And the confirming recollection is, my parents told me I'd never amount to anything. I tried to do something bigger once and I failed. Then I'll make a decision. I'll take some sort of action, either big or small, and that ends up in my results. And then the results go back into producing more ideas and thoughts. In a lot of cases, we're not even consciously aware of these things that are happening on a subconscious level, but they affect us. Now, has anyone ever doubled their income in a year? Absolutely. So it doesn't mean that it can't be done. It just means that in your current view, that's impossible to you. The critical factor is to change your self-image and beliefs and to get new confirming recollection. Because until ideas pass through both of those, your decisions and actions never change. And of course, then your results don't change either. As Henry Ford said, if you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. The real question is, how can you change your self-image and beliefs?